Hey everyone, we have a short video we'll be reviewing today, but first, I have a new cube for the pile, a Hello Kitty Rubik's Cube. Sorry, I've been totally geeking out, but I did a few solves on her and she's a really fun toy to add to the collection. Anyway, I don't want to waste too much time, so let's just get into this.
Is God real?
Nope. Well, I am Corsi and this is the
Shut up, dear furry!
I have to go over the entire thing, don't I?
Yes!
Well, at least I have Hello Kitty. We are returning to Impact Video Ministries again with another video that they came up with. And they tend to have some better arguments than most of the people we feature on this channel. So let's have a look at the longer clip from our cold open.
Is God real? It's a fair question. God, or the concept of a God, is talked about a lot. But we don't see God, and we don't hear him. So can we really be sure that there is one?
The honest answer is no, we can't. And the biggest reason is because of something he just said. The concept of a God. Because there are many, many God concepts all claiming that they are right. So is one of them right or none of them right? We can't absolutely know. As science finds naturalistic ways to show how things came to be that are attributed to God concepts, it becomes more and more likely that there isn't actually any God at all, while one by one the potential of any one specific deity becomes impossible.
And you know, sometimes we can get really curious about God's existence, especially when it comes to thoughts about death.
Ah, the greatest reason why so many really believe in a God concept. The terrifying thought that when you die, you stop existing. Belief in a deity that will aid you in carrying your soul after your physical body dies gives people a hope that death isn't really the end. In fact, most religions have some sort of afterlife, from Valhalla to heaven itself, to the Romans dying becoming new gods.
As a former Bible teacher, many of my students have asked me, how do you know God is real? And I normally respond with 3 thoughts. Thought number 1. You don't need to see in order to believe.
I mean, he's not wrong, and I want to give props to the guy that writes these. He said thought number 1 and not proof number 1. So there may be hope in him yet. Yeah, you don't need to see something physically in order to believe it, but you do need some sort of evidence or demonstration that you can see to show that what you can't see is worth believing. How many of us watching this have physically seen a hydrogen atom? Raise your hands. None?
No.
Good answer. But we can demonstrate that there are elemental atoms to demonstrate how they interact. As an interesting example, you can use electrolysis to separate the molecular bonds of water into hydrogen and oxygen. Currently, there are experiments being done today by the Department of Energy in this exact thing in an effort to try to make a clean, carbon-free fuel source using electrolysis. But I'm getting off on another one of my little tangents again. Let's get right back on track.
Now suppose we went to an art museum, and imagine us seeing a painting of a beautiful landscape, and you told me, wow, that artist is good. And I look to you and say, well, you can't be too sure there's an artist. I mean, can you see the artist?
False equivalency fallacy. What you can see is brushstrokes, paint, a canvas, and other things that would give tell to it being the work of an artist. Plus, it's something you have prior experience of. If you've seen other artists making similar work, you will see that this was probably done by an artist. God has none of that on his side, because even if God exists, what is there to compare it to? There is nothing there to show what a universe would or could look like if it was made by a god against naturalistic means. So there is more evidence that the painting is made by an artist. And he emphasizes the fallacy in the very next clip.
Give me direct evidence that there was an artist. And as you look to find the artist's name on the painting, you find that the artist is unknown. To which I'd say, see, you can't see the artist. There's no proof that they actually existed. Therefore, this painting doesn't have an artist.
See what I mean? Just because you can't see something may not be evidence they don't exist, but it's not evidence that they do. So you look at other things for that evidence, and, well, there's an evidence that there's an artist. And the biggest there is a painting is labeled as having an artist, but the artist's name is just unknown. And there are similar art pieces in that gallery that show similar designs that do have artist names. Can you say the name for God?
No.
Now he goes on the same tangent, saying we're constantly in belief of things we don't see, by bringing up more of this false equivalency fallacy by talking about buildings, paintings, and sushi, while we believe there was an architect, artist, and chef that made those dishes. The difference that makes this a false equivalency is that we have chefs that make sushi. I have watched a chef make sushi, I have drawn art pieces, and I have designed structures and seen blueprints with an architect credited. We don't have that option with God in any way. All we have is this one singular example of reality. He finishes with talk about the complexity of a structure must have a creator, but that's not the logic there. Sure, there are many things in the world that are complex, like a tree with branch patterns that appear random. Most of the things in the universe appear random. Grass doesn't grow evenly. Tree branches don't have an order. Even our bodies have slight differences to make one person to the next have some randomness without order. When you line up buildings into neat rows with floors exactly spaced apart, that's no longer random. Even our solar system is random. One planet is rotating the wrong way, another is rotating on its side compared to its orbit. Asteroids are flying about randomly as well. The orbits are all elliptical, with none in a perfectly circular, unrandom orbit. It gives evidence that it was formed by an accretion disk of material in one direction won out over another.
Thought number 2. Life is complex, and it needs to come from somewhere.
I have a strange feeling this is going to be an argument from ignorance.
Now, while buildings, art, and recipes are complex, our bodies are immensely more so. So I would argue that if we can assume that skyscrapers and everything that we talked about has a creator, we as people must also have a creator due to how complicated our bodies are.
Yep, argument from ignorance. Paintings and buildings are not complex in comparison to our bodies, but then again, our bodies are needlessly complex and have problems in just the structure. Our backs give out easily, our eyes see things upside down, and our brain has to fix that. Each cell of our body has the DNA for our entire body structure, but then again, so does everything else that's alive, and it uses the same DNA structure. At times, there are creatures on this planet that have more detailed DNA and are more complex than us. But does that mean we have a creator?
No, I don't think so.
Correct. In fact, the issues in our body structure give evidence we don't have a creator. And the way our bodies work tell that they're a happenstance of nature, working in a way that fits well with natural evolutionary processes. But some theists will argue that God created us, though through the process of evolution. But even that doesn't look right. We have DNA from retroviruses that have infected our bodies, well, our ancestors' bodies, and that changed us in some ways. We have junk DNA that does absolutely nothing at all that we can see of and have tested. For example, why would an all-knowing and all-powerful God, as is described in the Bible, make our bodies having so many construction flaws? And I'm not talking about things a Christian would blame the fall of man for, like diseases. I'm talking about things like the eye having a blind spot, nerves in the body going in needlessly out of the way, only being able to see 3 colors, and our brains having to make sense of this so we can see a spectrum. These are simply bad design. There are countless more issues that have nothing to do with some alleged fall of man.
The human body has a total of 9 layered systems that all must be working in order for an individual to be healthy.
Exactly. What god would do this so that if one would fail, you just fucking die? If I were a god, I would make a perfect being that needed none of this shit. If I had to create a being in my own image, bitch, I would be damn perfect without needing any of the things humans need. Hold up. Did he say 9? That seems a little inflated. Just a bit.
The cardiovascular system contains the heart and blood vessels working so it can get your body the oxygen and nutrients it needs. The endocrine system produces hormones that contribute to your overall growth. The digestive system breaks down the food and liquids that we consume and turns it into energy. The respiratory system helps us to breathe, which is a little important. The excretory system removes all the waste and other harmful things in our body. The lymphatic system is part of your immune system that prevents us from getting sick. The nervous system contains the brain and is responsible for anything requiring thought. The muscular system contains all the muscles that help us to move. And the skeletal system obviously has all the bones that give us something to slap these 8 other systems on.
Oh, oh man, yeah. Okay, your respiratory system is part of the cardiovascular system and the lymphatic system. The skeletal system includes the muscular system, the digestive system includes the excretory system, and I think the endocrine system is part of the reproductive system he didn't mention. This should just tell you how much this guy doesn't actually know. I think the nervous system is the only one he got right, though it is heavily entwined with all the other systems in the body, since it is responsible for telling everything elsewhere in your body what it's supposed to do. But we here at The Fluffy Atheist and our viewers already know how apologists, like the channel we are reviewing today, like to be, less than honest with their statements, which, well, just watch and listen to his next statement on complexity.
Pay attention to this quote from the National Institute of General Medical Sciences. 6. That's how many feet long the DNA from one of your cells would be if you uncoiled each strand and placed them end to end. Do this for all your DNA, and the resulting strand would be 67 billion miles long. The same as about 150,000 round trips to the moon. You see, your DNA is your information. It's everything that makes you, you. And all of it stretched out would be 67 billion miles long.
Did you catch it? In case you didn't, the National Institute of General Medical Sciences said DNA in one cell when stretched out would be 6 feet. 6 feet is all the information that makes you, since every cell contains your entire DNA code. But instead of focusing on that 6 feet, our subject today focuses on the 67 billion miles, which is the repeated DNA in every cell of your body, and makes it seem like that is your DNA code instead. He's inflating it with what fallacy? Say it with me. Texas sharpshooter fallacy, or more commonly known as cherry-pick data. Since complexity doesn't entail design or a designer, we are best suited to move on ahead to his next point instead of just rehashing the same rhetoric.
Thought number 3. Jesus is God, and there's plenty of evidence for his existence.
This fallacy is the begging the question fallacy. He's openly stating that Jesus is God without showing evidence for that, and instead wants to show that the person named Jesus existed, thus proving Jesus is the son of his deity. But let's hope that that's not what he's going to do.
Now, for those of you who are thinking, why should I trust the Bible or believe in Jesus? Well, one reason why one might trust the Bible is because according to Dr. Sean McDowell, in 2018, the New Testament of the Bible has 23,986 historical documents supporting it.
Sean McDowell is a public figure that is also a Christian that preys on young people to convince them that God is real. Appeal to authority fallacy for starters. Secondly, I did look through these documents of proof. None of it attributes Jesus as the Son of God or having performed miracles when they're written in the same times as Jesus would have walked the earth. They are documents of places and locations that the Bible talks about. All the work Sean talked about and did is evidence the locations and some of the people were real. If this is the evidence he is talking about, There is libraries of evidence for the existence of Julius Caesar, and Romans worshipped him as a deity too back then after his murder. Doesn't mean that was a god either. Oh, the manuscript count is about 5,800, with the rest being just translations of them all, and they're all fragmented. Good job inflating the evidence again.
Look, I'm not going to cover all the reasons why you should trust the Bible in this video. That video is actually being worked on, but we will provide the link in the description below once it's uploaded.
We wait with bated breath.
You are not here on accident.
Yeah, no shit. I'm making a video. Doing it pretty intentionally too.
You are more than the 9 systems that allow your body to function.
Yes, my sarcasm is free to the public.
Because you have a soul.
Sure do. The bottom of my shoes. I got 2 of them.
A soul that God created and gave you. So how did you get here on Earth?
Well, when a mommy husky and a daddy husky love each other very much. But seriously, dude totally fucks up on his next clip. This is going to take a little bit of a rewind from the last time we brought up impact, but
this God created everything. The universe with its stars and planets, the earth with its lands and seas, and in it he made the animals and the first man and woman, and when he made them, he gave them the ability to choose.
Now, of course he can't support that claim, but what I want to focus on is, at the very end there, he said the ability to choose was free will.
Oh, really?
Guess what the last video we did for him was?
The only one that has free will is God.
Now, I didn't plan on fucking this guy like a $2 suburban crack hooker, but he gives me no choice.
Kinky. Come on, keep talking dirty.
It seems that he is fine with saying something one way in one video and contradicting it in another. So, I have some condoms because of how hard he just fucked up. I don't want to take the chance on getting a disease. From here, he goes on preaching, so we can conclude here. I don't know. The arguments for God, I think, hit their peak with fine-tuning and the tag argument, both of which are bad too, and I've made videos on both of them. Twice. For now, I am Corsi, and this is the Fluffy Atheist. Pet those like and subscribe buttons, and remember, if you faith around, I'll help you find out what your Bible really says.